All right, good afternoon, everybody. This is Pat O'Neill, past president of the Rotary Club of Akron, and it's nice to see everybody today for a wonderful day in our club. We are inducting a new leader, a new president, Dr. Rob McGregor, and I've had the privilege of working with Rob closely over the past couple years for our club. I know him personally as well, and we're really fortunate. Dr. Rob is going to be a tremendous leader, a great ambassador for our club. So with that, I would like to introduce Mary Weaver, who is Dr. Rob's sponsor, and she will be performing Dr. Rob's induction today. So Mary, I will take it away from here. Mary, you're muted.
Dr. Rob, where are you?
You may have to screen through the pictures, but I'm here.
Dr. Rob, would you please repeat after me? I, Dr. Robert McGregor, do solemnly pledge.
I, Dr. Robert McGregor, do solemnly pledge
That I will faithfully execute the office of President
that I will faithfully execute the office of President
of the Rotary Club of Akron,
of our Rotary Club of Akron,
and that I will, to the best of my ability, support the District Governor and Rotary International,
and I will, to the best of my ability, support the District Governor and Rotary International,
and that I will uphold the Constitution and bylaws of this club.
I will uphold the Constitution and bylaws of this club.
Congratulations, Dr. Rob. You are now our fearless leader for this year. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mary. Since you brought me into the club, it seemed very appropriate. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So good afternoon, everybody. We're going to have our meeting a little bit creatively organized today because at the same time I'm now inducted. Pat started the meeting for me from his last day of vacation, and I'm very grateful that he was able to do that for us and bring in Mary Weaver to. And at this time, I would like to induct our officers. One of the things about our club that I find really uplifting is the phenomenal number of leaders that step up and help us out on a really energetic crew. Today, our club leaders that will be inducted are President-elect Steve Bowie, Vice President Linda Farkas, Secretary Terry Dalton, Treasurer Michael Gladys, Past President and Nominating Committee Chair is Pat O'Neill, and the directors include Connor Jarvis, Dave Miller, Karen Hudlinka, Tom Kadauer, Nicole Major, Katie Miller, Tamara Moore, Jacinto Nunez, and June Ring. So I will now read that script. The incoming officers and directors, you've been elected to the important position in the administration of the Rotary Club of Akron. This is an indication of your fellow Rotarians' esteem and confidence in all of you. They also believe you will uphold the high tradition of our club and you will give the best of your executive ability to furtherance of the interest of our club in carrying forward all the objects of Rotary. Will you fulfill the responsibilities of your offices to the best of your ability and in accordance with the Constitution and bylaws of this club? Response, we will.
We will.
We will.
I hereby declare new officers and directors installed. To the outgoing officers and directors, though some of you are retiring from the administration of our club, your continued active involvement in this club is really vitally important and highly encouraged. And I'm asking you to stay around. Thanks all for serving. All right. So now that we've got a new team on board, we'd like to have a familiar invocator, Connor Jarvis.
All right. Can everyone hear me okay? All right, great. Well, yes, congratulations to Dr. Rob and the board of directors, both new members to that board and existing, and I'm excited for another year. So with that, and of course, what today marks for our club and the beginning of a new chapter, I'd just like to share a few thoughts as I provide the invitation today. So really, we're at a crossroads as a club. Exciting initiatives and growth on the horizon, yet also issues to work through, many of which were created or exacerbated by the global pandemic, in the midst of which we still remain. But I see this as a time of abundant opportunity for our most prodigious of Rotary clubs, an opportunity to emerge from this era of virtual meetings victoriously and really cementing our role as the preeminent Rotary club in Northeast Ohio. And if I may be so bold, I'd like to say the world as well. I truly believe that. We have a special group here. Our God works in mysterious ways, and I see it as no coincidence that we sit together at our computer screens today in the hands of the most capable and fitting of leaders to shepherd us through a time such as this. A man I'm blessed to call my friend and stroke partner. For those of you who don't get that terminology, that's a little bit of dragon boat jargon right there. But of course, that man being Dr. Rob McGregor. And truly, who in our club could be more fitting for the task at hand in this trying season for our community and the nation? I just think it's so fitting, and I'd call that a God wink right there, that Dr. Rob's the one in office throughout this moving forward. And thanks to Pat, of course, for leading us through the initial phases of that. And it was certainly a trying time for our club, and Pat could not have done a better job either. However, I'd like to say Dr. Rob is but one man. He's gifted indeed, but he cannot do this alone. And I implore each and every one of us to renew our commitment to Rob, to the club, and to our community. And I pray that not only do we survive throughout this coming year, but that we may grow and thrive and show the world why the Rotary Club of Akron has been a figment in the greater Akron community for over 100 years and will continue to affect positive change in lives locally and around the world for centuries to come. And just a few last thoughts here. One was a passage of scripture I came across on Sunday that I felt was very fitting. And it's from 2 Kings chapter 6, verses 15 through 17. And it says, when the servant of the man of God got up and went out early the next morning, an army with horses and chariots had surrounded the city. Oh no, my lord, what shall we do? The servant asked. Don't be afraid, the prophet answered. Those who are with us are more than those who are with them. And Elisha prayed, open his eyes, Lord, so that he may see. Then the Lord opened the servant's eyes, and he looked and saw the hills full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. And so, though we may seemingly be surrounded by a challenging enemy in this environment we continue to live in with COVID-19 and uncertainty on the horizon, I pray that the Lord would open our eyes as individuals and as a club so that we may see all he is doing in us, for us, and through our club for the community, and we'd be able to look past the enemies that we might be receiving the majority of our attention right now, and we can see that he is with us. So if you could just join me and bow your heads as I pray this blessing over Rob and each and every one of us in the club. It's from a worship song that I also found was particularly fitting for today. Just Father God, and we pray this. The Lord bless you and keep you. Make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace. As we receive, we agree. Amen. May his favor be upon you and 1,000 generations, your family and your children and their children and their children. May his presence go before you and behind you and beside you, all around you and within you. He is with you. He is with you. In the morning, in the evening, in your coming and your going, in your weeping and rejoicing. He is for you. He is for you. Amen. 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 Thank you very much.
Amen. Thank you, Connor. And now a pledge of allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
And
to
to
the
the republic for which it stands,
stand,
one nation,
For God,
under God,
God,
indivisible,
with liberty
liberty and justice for all.
and the four-way test.
Is it the truth?
The truth.
Truth.
Is fair to all
And to all concerned.
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
Should
be
be
beneficial
beneficial
to all concerned.
all concerned.
Okay, I know I have at least two guests here today, and I'd like to welcome Jack Mascalis, my father-in-law, who was a Rotarian and a Rotary president and a Paul Harris Fellow in the Harrisburg area, and learned how to do Zoom over the phone so he could join us today. So thanks for joining us, Dad. If I was sure you were going to get on as slick as you did, maybe I would have had you induct me, but thanks. And my lovely wife, who also helped them, who helped tutor them. So welcome. Do we have any other guests here that we need to introduce?
Hi, Rich Fry. Again, I believe I have an application pending, but I guess until then I am a guest.
Well, thank you, Rich. Anyone else?
Hi, John Reyes. I invited him.
All right, John, thank you. That was past District Governor John Reyes. 1 week past.
I see a Sharon McGregor.
Yeah, that's my lovely wife.
Okay.
Yeah, she was joining after she did a tutorial on Zoom for my in-laws 2 days ago. Welcome, Sharon. Thanks for your support.
You're welcome.
Any other guests? Do we have any Rotary ambassadors? People who've been to other clubs? Let's see. I don't see any. Let me go through.
I don't see any raised hands at this time.
Okay, thank you, Cheryl. And I'll give some announcements within my presidential remarks, but are there any announcements that we can combine with Happy Dollars? I know John Mardita is happy. John, could you lead us off? If John can-
Yes, thanks, Dr. Rob. Thank you very much. First of all, good, fantastic. Congratulations to you. Best of luck to you. I'm sure it's going to be a great year. And I also wanted to say, Patrick, great job in the last year or two. I know you went through a lot and adversity, what have you, but it was great leadership. So congratulations to both of you. Looking forward to the future. So Happy Dollars. I have 5 Happy Dollars today. I am looking for, I have a request. I am helping Dr. Rob put together some speakers. I'm in need of some speakers, what have you, very soon. So if you have some great ideas for speakers, possibly some business owners, if you could forward those information to me, that'd be great so we can get going on that. I need some help with that. I do have some names, but I'd love to hear some of your ideas too. So that's a great way to get it going. So again, thank you, Dr. Rob. Best of luck to you. And I'm here to help you. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, John. Who else is happy? Looking for raised hands here. All right, Katie.
So I missed the last 2. I have 5 Happy Dollars. I missed the last 2 meetings because it turns out I actually like camping. So we have spent quite a bit of time out around. We spent a week in Erie up at Presque Isle, and then we didn't want to come home, so we went over to Lake Pomintuning for a couple days. And our next trip out, we're going to Indiana at the end of the month for 10 days around the Clear Lake area. So who knew? I like it. I'm addicted to it.
Good.
Yeah. Congratulations, Rob.
Thanks. Julie Brandel has her hand up.
Hey guys, happy to be here. Congratulations, Dr. Rob. We're really excited for the year ahead. I'm going to give, I know I want to give 21 Happy Dollars, but I also want to give some for Rob, and I'll write a check and send it to Rotary Camp. So the $21 today for sure is our daughter Kimberly turns 21 today. I thought my 50th birthday 2 weeks ago was the old inducing feeling, but now I think when I heard 21 this morning, I'm like, Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. So, happy birthday to Kimberly. You guys all know her.
Happy birthday, Kimberly. All right, June.
So I'm happy today. I'll give 10 happy dollars for Dr. Rob and kicking off your new Rotary Year. Congratulations, and very much looking forward to it. And the other 4 happy dollars are for our 4th child, our youngest, our son, who got engaged on the 4th of July.
Oh, congrats. Anybody else happy?
Dr. Rob, I'd like to give some happy dollars in honor of you and your first year as our president. And I've already given in honor of Pat O'Neill, so congratulations, Dr. Rob.
Okay, just to clarify, would you say in your first year of office? I'm not
You
sure
never
you slipped
know.
that in. Anybody else happy?
Dr. Rob, I'm happy.
Go ahead, Pat.
Yeah, I've got 5 happy dollars. Just want to congratulate you and wish you best of luck and all my support in the year ahead. You're going to be an amazing president. So all the happy dollars are for you, Rob. Good luck.
Thanks.
Dr. Rob?
Yes. I can't
Wanda.
see. Hi, Wanda.
Hi. So I'm going to give $20.20 for a great rest of 2020 and the fact that I'm super excited about your leadership with club, and I will stay engaged, and I am going to miss you as my co-chair. I will tell you that though. So, but congratulations, and I'm really looking forward to it.
And I'll be your advisor if I can't be your co-chair.
Yes.
Thanks, Wanda. I'd like to give 20 happy dollars. 5 for my father-in-law, 5 for my mother-in-law, 5 for my wife. Actually make it 25. 5 for my new board of directors, and 5 for a really pretty anatomy scan of my 20-week-old grandchild that just popped on my screen not more than 3 minutes ago. Anybody else happy?
Looks like Steve Bowie's happy, Dr. Rob.
All right, Steve Bowie.
You're muted, Steve.
I'm going to give $5, and my first one is just a hearty congratulations to you, Rob, and delightful that your family is able to be here and participate with you. Second one, Patrick O'Neill, what a phenomenal job you did. And I just want to say this, as far as being as young as you are, the amount of wisdom and the cool, calm demeanor in which you were able to handle the challenges of COVID coming upon us, kudos to you. You did a phenomenal job, my brother. It's great to see Carol Martorano Becker. Carol is just an absolute delight, and her father-in-law was a Rotarian, I think, almost up until he was like 90. And Carol did an incredible job in helping us with the strategic plan. So it's good to see you. And then additionally, John Reyes, another great guy. And I'm amazed, Dr. Rob, you made the reference to how leadership rich we are as a club. And that is an understatement. So John Reyes, thank you for all of your work as district governor. And let me also just say the last dollar is just for the rest of the club. I feel honored to be part of this fellowship, and I find great encouragement. It's impossible to come to one of these meetings and to come away from it and not be encouraged. It's impossible. So those are my 5.
Thanks, Steve. Okay, if there's anybody else, you can raise your hand and we can come back to you. But I would like now to open the mic for Carol Mark Turano Becker, and John Margita. Fellow Rotarians and honored guests, on behalf of the Rotary Club of Akron, it is my privilege to induct a new member today. Please allow me to introduce candidate Carol, proposed by John Margita. If we were in a real non-virtual setting, I'd bring them up to the podium right now, but we're going to have a leap of faith here. Carol, you are beginning a great adventure in leadership, friendship, and service to your community with your invitation for membership. The Rotary Club of Akron has accepted you as a person of good character, high ethical standards, people who have hearts for science, and people who will represent the classification of a community leader. We've invited you to become part of this worldwide organization dedicated to encouraging and fostering the ideal of service above self. John Margita, hopefully you'll be able to present our candidate with the official Rotary name badge and pin featuring a Rotary wheel with the international symbol of Rotary once we are back from the virtual space. I encourage you, Carol, to wear it proudly. You have been invited to join Rotary, but it's through your own actions that you will truly become a Rotarian. We encourage you to learn all you can about Rotary and to strengthen your own leadership and communication skills by actively participating in the activities of the club, including attending weekly meetings, social events, and service projects. You'll be provided many opportunities through this club and district to enhance and expand your professional and personal skills, and these opportunities will provide great value to you. You will also be provided with a number of opportunities to provide service to others through club services, vocational service, community service, and international service. Now I invite you, my fellow Rotarians, to freely give up your time and make Carol feel welcome and provide her with guidance and friendship. Fellow Rotarians, please help me welcome Carol Martina Becker, our club's and the world's newest Rotarian.
Hey, thank you.
Carol, would like you to say a few words.
Oh, thank you. I have to tell you, I'm really excited and have been looking forward to this really for quite a while. Through the strategic planning process from, a little more than a year ago, I had the opportunity to meet quite a few of you, and I've been so impressed and have great appreciation for all the people who I've met. Many of you are on the screen today, so thank you for letting me get to know the Rotary better and to work with some of you on the strategic planning process. I feel like it's going to be a real honor to be a Rotarian. It's coming at a really good time for me right now, so I've been trying to block off Tuesdays, and I'm hoping some of you will reach out to engage me in some of the wonderful projects that the Rotary does, because I am looking forward to being a very engaged member. For those of you who don't know me, I have a consulting business called Impact Learning Inc. And what we do is we work with leaders to help them take their organizations and their own personal leadership to the next level, whether it be through executive coaching, strategic planning, execution of plans, and leadership development. But I have to share with you before I finish, I was going through some old items that were my father-in-law's. My father-in-law was a Rotarian for, I think, around 65 or more years. And I don't know if you can see this, but I found his old certificate. And so I got very excited when that crossed came out of the box. So I'm going to frame it and hang it in my office and hope to continue the tradition. Rotary was really important to my father-in-law. When he passed, there was a large number of Rotarians who came to his funeral service, and I'm hoping that he's looking down on me and thinking, yahoo, carrying on that tradition. So thank you all, and I'll look forward to seeing you on the screen and also in person. And thank you, John, for sponsoring me. He's been awesome. I've really enjoyed getting to know John, and gosh, so many others of you, Steve and Katie and Julie and Pat and Dr. Rob, and oh gosh, so many. I think June's on there. I was trying to think who else was on there who I've gotten to know, Cheryl and Amelia, and I probably need to move to the next screen to thank some other people. But looking forward to seeing you all in face-to-face, and please call on me to help support some of the work that you're all doing. Thanks.
Thank
I'm
you,
happy to be
Carol.
here. I'm excited. Thank you.
All right, now I have the great pleasure to introduce our speaker, and that would be me. So I am going to make a quick Zoom change of my background, if I recall how to do this now. And this may seem like a familiar picture, because when I gave a Zoom talk to the club, I think the second meeting we went virtual, I had this in the background, but it didn't move around quite like this. So I apologize for the flashing. I think my office is a little more illuminated than the conference room I was working out of before. And I just put this up here. This was, you may recall, who do I want to be during COVID-19? And we talked about going through the three zones. The fear zone, where you really just put your head down, wanted it to go away, didn't want to deal with it, probably ate more indiscriminately, probably had a few alcoholic beverages if you do so. And then you learn to move to learning zone. And depending on what would happen in the news, you might zip back to fear or zip back up to learning. And ultimately, we want to get to growth. So I'm going to flip that back because I find it pretty distracting to see that, and I imagine you do too. So I'll put back on Holger Neck's picture, or his banner, and walk you through some thoughts that I have for our club. I will have a PowerPoint that'll be presented tomorrow on our website, so that if you want to really see more of the details, I can fill that in. But I think I've been through enough Zoom meetings where it was PowerPoint after PowerPoint. I find that most adult learners don't learn that way. So I'm going to impose my preferred learning style on you all, and that's discussion, and hopefully we can make it a little interactive. I'd like to set the stage for you. I gave you that COVID picture because, like it or not, COVID is with us, and we need to move to a new area of how we're going to deal with COVID, how we're going to be a better club for having experienced COVID. And as many of you know me, I'm kind of a glass half full guy on most days, and I remain very optimistic. What I've seen this club do with our pivoting quickly, going to virtual meetings, attendance is better than it's been. And I think that these are all a testament to the good work that Pat and the team did to move us to a virtual reality. And yet we've had some fun, safe, distanced activities, such as the beauty shop donation for our Black community with the barbers and beauty shop group. And we also did the Pack the Truck, where if you missed that, there were several of us out in the country club's parking lot. They allowed us to pack the truck for the food bank, and everyone was masked, and most of us remained socially distanced almost all the time. So I think that there's exciting ways that we can thrive in this environment. I want everyone in this room to think about their early responses and maybe some of their regression on occasion, that there's victim thinking and there's forward thinking. I read a Harvard Business Review has the 10 best articles and the must reads. And early in COVID, I decided to pick it up. It had been on my shelf for probably a year, and it was on mental toughness. And I read through that, and Margolis and Stoltz had an article that really focused on the fact that, when you're a victim, you really can't escape. You just can't escape to the next level. You can't think about what you want to achieve. You can't think about, you can't get past, well, this is done to me. This isn't what I wanted. My daughter's wedding had to be canceled. All those kind of personal things that are real and we have to deal with. Then we need to figure out a way to move past. And I think this club has already started doing that. I already set the stage with the public health reality that is this pandemic of COVID. And the final thing that I want to put in a stage setting as we move forward with this discussion is we have an awesome strategic plan in our pocket. So it's really fortunate that Carol has joined the club today so she can hear me boast about all the good work that she did along with our planning team. And we've had a kind of a forced pause over the last 4 or 5 months. And I think this is an opportunity for us to move that forward. So today, I'd like to walk you through a little exercise I did for myself about the strengths, the threats, the opportunities as we are navigating through this pandemic. I also want to review the summary page from our strategic plan and get this plan on the web. I think one of the things that historically most organizations haven't done so well is they spend a lot of really thoughtful time. They get input to develop a strategic plan, and then sometimes it sits on a shelf or just gets dusty. I think it needs to be alive, a living, breathing document that we can adapt as need be. And I'm going to look at with Cheryl and figure out where this would sit best on our web, because I think that we've got some opportunities there. So the strengths. I'll start with the obvious. We've got a phenomenal group of people here. We've got a phenomenal board and committee chairs, and we're one of the unique clubs. I know certainly in our region, but I don't even know it may be statewide or larger. We actually have 3 past district governors in our club. So you talk about wealth of knowledge and experience that we can lean on as a board and as leaders within the club and as growing leaders in the club. That's a strength that most clubs can't boast about. So thank you. I think we've already shown our adaptability. It's been remarkable to see us flip from in-person meetings to virtual meetings. It seems like yesterday we had a board meeting at Portage Country Club when we kind of realized this might be the last meeting that followed that board meeting, and sure enough it was. So we look forward to trying to get back and adapt to a new way of business. We have strong membership numbers going into this year. We had some fall off at the beginning of this year, but actually I think we've inducted 5 or 6 new members, many of whom are on the video here today, during the pandemic. So I think that we find that I've seen members that I hadn't seen in a while. And I think that's exciting too. We've got a committed team. You've already heard Connor, you've heard June, you've heard Wanda. We've heard a lot of people very active in the club, clearly committed to moving forward. And we have amazing relationships. Some of my closest friends are in this room today, and not to mention my family. And it's a high energy club. And I know many of you sometimes think I have ADHD, and my wife will tell you I do, but I think that energy is contagious. I take energy from the crowd, admittedly. I know I exhaust some of you, but I think we do have a lot of energy in this club, and we will continue to move forward. We also have a bimodal distribution of our membership. We've got a large group of us that are 60 and older, but we have a large group of up-and-comers. We've got our 30s to 40-year-olds. So consequently, as we look at safety and activities, we may have bimodal activities that some of us will stay with our masks in the background, while some of the other folks that probably are at less risk for having, if they contract COVID, could do some other things. So I think we got to take advantage of that and make sure that we leverage that. And we have our 4-way test. So in a time that screams for compassion and empathy between people feeling COVID is I'm just over COVID, when in reality we aren't, to the social injustice that we've seen and the pushback towards the police brutality that was witnessed in individual policemen, not the police collectively, but individual policemen. We really need to draw on that compassion and empathy and repeat our 4-way test. Threats, they call this a novel virus. And it's not because it's so intriguing, it's because we know so little about it. It's not predictable. So we really are going to have to be vigilant and continue to watch and keep our members safe and the people we serve safe. Interesting, as we face this pandemic, the Rotary International D&O insurance, Directors and Officers Insurance, which protect an officer if we had and John Reyes will fix my legal language, but if you are accidentally incompetent, then you would be pardoned sometimes by your D&O insurance. If you willfully are negligent, then even a tightly written, a liberally written insurance policy wouldn't cover you. What's happened is our D&O insurance expired when Pat left the club, and our new one specifically carves out pandemics. And as we know from our district governors, we were requested not to have in-person meetings for the rest of this year, and we'll reassess quarterly. I think another threat is communication. What we found, even during our successful activities during the pandemic, we didn't get the word out like we do when we have our meetings and we're sitting by each other every Tuesday. That conversation pre-meeting, post-meeting, at Happy Dollars gets information so that we all were able to informally know what the other groups in the club, in terms of the service projects, in terms of our international projects, we were able to keep that spread. And I think we have a risk now, because we have to figure out another way to compensate for that change in communication style. Other threats, we all prefer that personal, in-person touch, in-person networking, those bro hugs that you heard some of the guys talk about early in COVID. We now have to do that virtually, but we'll figure out some ways to do that, but that's a threat. And I think we also have to reevaluate our value proposition with most of our activity being virtual. I don't think it's less, I just think it's a different message. And I plan to have a team work on that messaging. The membership impact could be real. Fortunately, we've been blessed to have more members come on board. But as we continue in this virtual reality, we're going to really need to get creative and change it up so that people stay engaged. And then we have the risk of isolation. So for many of our members, this was really our excuse to get out and mingle. And now that's taken away from us in person. So we have to look out for each other and make sure if people are feeling isolated or marginalized, that we develop a deliberate plan to engage them. And then of course we have the safety threats. Service projects are going to have to be a little different, maybe different sized, maybe socially distanced, maybe outdoors. Our North High School relationship is really dependent on what the rules are with school and how the COVID virus behaves once we have people back together in groups like that. And large indoor fundraisers, I know Wanda's already getting a team going so that we can look at that part of our Chili Open and saying, well, what can we do differently and how can we preserve that great heritage of 31 years of greatness. So we'll have a lot of chance to do that. But I think really my key message here today is it's really about opportunities. We've been able to re-engage those who are too busy in their job or too junior in their team to be able to take a half hour off to get to Portage Country Club, an hour or hour and 15 minutes at Portage Country Club, and another half hour off. I think that's not an accident why we've seen some of our members that we've been missing recently now come back into action, because it's quick and there's really not much of an excuse to not be able to jump on at least for a half hour. I think as John Margia said, we're looking for talented speakers. And I know some other people have already reached out and said, you know, we have people that live outside of the state. Would we be willing to have somebody from outside come in and talk to us? I think that would be wonderful. I think that's a new new opportunity to tap talent. And like it or not, the fact that we're not having the expenses of meetings, we are saving money that we can perhaps reinvest and repurpose in projects and programs. Our opportunities are to mentor virtually or physically distance. I actually connected with a prior peer mentor last week on my deck, and we had a socially distanced cocktail, which was wonderful. It was good to see you, Sam. I think we can rescale our group projects to maybe be smaller so we can keep them safer, but continue to have them and maybe have them more frequently so we can get more people engaged. I think we have an opportunity to bridge our teams and committees. Last year, committees became part of the consent agenda. So if you don't have OCD like me, you may not have read all their minutes to really know what everybody was doing. And I think it's really imperative right now to have all of these committees crosstalk. So I'm proposing a council of chairs. So we'll have our board meetings monthly, but 2 weeks later, we'll have our council of chairs meeting where all our chairmen, and I'm going to acknowledge you all at next meeting because I didn't want to risk running overtime with all our inductions. I think we also are scheming to have a deliberate risk assessment and management program. I've been talking offline with John Reyes and Patrick, and many other people have agreed to help. We've got people from the finance industry. We've got people from legal background. We've got me with a public health bent, and Pat O'Neill is going to help us out with an insurance bent so that we can look as the situation is evolving, as very fluid with COVID. How do we have to make changes and what do we need to do? I've already taken the liberty to and I'll talk to the board. My budget hasn't been approved yet, so I'm probably speaking out of school, but I was able to reconfigure and put a retainer away so that we could actually hire a lawyer and begin drafting a waiver. Now, waiver is not foolproof in the state of Ohio, but it may give us some relative protection as we start to venture out into service projects. And we get to refocus on our strategic plan. So it's great that Carol is here because we'll talk about that momentarily. But I think the other thing we need to do right now is, as you inventory how life has been as a Rotarian recently, keep track of the things that work. Because when we go back to post-COVID, whenever we get to celebrate that party, we want to take with us the adaptations we did now and continue to give our teams flexibility to do things creative so that some of our busy members or people who are really stuck in the office until the last minute can hop on. So I think we really need to develop a virtual strategy without a crisis. And I'm glad that you guys got us going. So at this point, I'd like to talk a little bit about the strategic plan, and Cheryl is going to help me screen share because I couldn't do it from an iPad, and I'm not allowed to use my office computer because of Zoom issues. So as soon as Carol gets this up here, it is something that should be familiar to all of you because I know we presented this in August of last year to the club, and it's our strategic priorities. And I saw her screen moving, but I'm not seeing it up there yet, Cheryl. Well, Cheryl starts to talk
I have it
about
up
this.
there. You're not seeing it?
But you know what? I am not, but maybe, hopefully everybody else is, because I can see it in my slides.
Okay, everybody else is seeing it. Okay.
Okay, everybody else sees it?
Yes.
Good, good. Okay, so you can see that our strategic priorities: impact, experience, inclusion, engagement, transformation, and innovation. So impact is to increase the visibility of the club and our work, both impact locally and globally. Experience, define and demonstrate the Akron Rotary experience. Inclusion, intentionally diversify our membership and embrace inclusion. Engagement, enhance member engagement on multiple levels. Transform, target and support our camp, community, and global transformational projects with focused efforts, and establish innovative, efficient, and relevant internal processes. This is a very high level of our strategic plan, and I am going to have this PowerPoint that I created up on the web tomorrow so that you can look and see a little deeper dive, and then we'll actually get the plan itself and find it a home so that we can read it, live it, and breathe it. The next slide shows the word priority, and it's interesting. I read a book by Greg McGowan. He's the author of Essentialism, the Disciplined Pursuit of Doing Less, or the Disciplined Pursuit of Less. And he points out that in the 1400s, when the word priority became English, or was in our English language, it was singular, as in, this is the priority. In the 1900s, when the Industrial Revolution came on board, we made this plural. We pluralized the term priority. And great challenges, our thought is that more than one priority may mean there are no priorities. And I don't think I'm not a complete nihilist about that, but I do think we need to have deliberate staged limits, because if we have 50 things to do, we possibly will not get any of them done. So the next slide, I just think, given the fact of the restrictions of COVID and how I think many of these sequentially follow each other, that I'm not saying we're not going to do all this that we planned on, but we're probably not going to do all of it now. And if we do some of them very well and deliberately on the front end, it'll feed into the impact that we have. And the transformational projects, now virtual transformation, we may have some good ones there, but I think we may need to just focus a little bit internally on our club in terms of our experience, our engagement, again, to prevent from COVID fatigue and prevent from isolation, and just to compensate for the fact that we talk about social distancing, and I really think we need to lose that word. It needs to be physical distancing. Social, we're social creatures. We need to be social one way or the other. And the innovation, I think we've already jump-started that. So when you go to the PowerPoint tomorrow, there are several pages that follow that list some things that the Strategic Planning Action Committee said would be things to do. And interestingly, some of them were get a virtual membership or get a virtual engagement piece, and promote the value of the Akron Rotary experience. These are things that I think we need to do now so we can really have our elevator speech ready. And we've got a couple members working on how we can craft that for us to play with. The one thing I do want to highlight is the good fortune I had to have Gina K. Maddox and Jack Herrig push me a little bit about the fact that we have this inclusivity on our strategic plan. Let's get it going. So before COVID, before the tragic death of George Floyd, we were already engaged with a small team of people that actually had a book club. And Tom Knauer, Jacinto, Blake Babcock, I'm missing other people. I'm trying to go around the room because the last time we were together, we were at the Akron Diner in the morning having our book club. And Chris Richards was on it, and anybody else I'm forgetting, I apologize already. But I think what's fascinating is I was in a much different place, having shared that experience and had some difficult conversations with some people who didn't grow up like I did and didn't have, and I never had to worry about getting stopped because someone would be suspicious because I was a white guy on the side of the road at night. So we had some of those difficult conversations that certainly made me feel the angst of our folks of color in these recent weeks. I felt a little bit more connected to it, and I felt like I had a little bit more understanding. I certainly don't pretend to. But I think our team has come together and we've jump-started that initiative. And I think that's something that we need to expand and play on. And I saw Gina Kay sent out an invite to the core team tonight that we read, and I just saw the flash, White Fragility. And hold on 1 minute. I just happened to get this back. I had lent it to my CEO, and that was the book that we read in order to be able to start the conversation. And I think anybody in the club who is interested in really getting involved with these activities that we're planning, we'll do it in conjunction with our social chair or our service project chairs. But I think that would be required reading because it just allows you to think about things that are a little uncomfortable. But I'm grateful to Gina Kay and to Jack Herrick for getting us started on that. Steve Bowie, how could I forget Steve Bowie? He's been a big force on this. So I do think that we've had a lot of good stuff going. And we've done bits and pieces of that strategic plan, but I really want to get the team back together and get point leaders for at least 4 of those 6 initiatives. And then we could pass that off to Steve next year to finish it up. So just briefly, outside the strategic plan, a couple of ideas or projects I want to see done. Bylaws completion, including establishing diversity and inclusion as a standing committee of this club. We are also going to be adopting an anti-harassment policy, which again was pre-COVID, but we're taking that to the board next week. I'm charging the committee chairs and their groups to create a charter and an annual plan which aligns with our strategic plan. So again, they don't need to do the whole strategic plan, but need to keep that focused. As I mentioned earlier, we'll have monthly board meetings, but we're going to also have monthly Council of Chairs meetings so that we can enhance crosstalk and make sure that we don't have conflicting events as we get to be more active, hopefully in the months to come. And finally, we've established this ad hoc risk assessment advisory team that will help us recalibrate whenever there's changes in the COVID environment or any other new environmental challenge. And finally, I've heard from many people who joined the board last year that we really could benefit from some more formal board education. So, the sky's, the saying, the sky's the limit. Well, the sky's not the limit. The mind is the limit. And I want all of us, as we get into that growth phase, to realize what could be and make it happen. You'll see tomorrow, I entitled this talk 2020-2021, Captain Rob, Dr. Rob, or Mixologist Rob. So you're probably thinking, mixologist? He did mention that he had a cocktail now and then. But Cheryl, if you could pull up the last slide of the slide deck. And again, I hope you can all see it. It's there. So you can see that I think when you get lemons, you make lemonades, or a Tom Collins, or French 75, whatever you can do with lemons to make it good. And I stole a hashtag that we've got this, Akron Rotary. Thank you, everybody. Look forward to your support, and I welcome any questions. We're running towards the end of the meeting.
No, because I'm muted.
Everybody's unmuted if you want to ask questions.
Or make a final comment.
Well,
I know there was a lot of chat and go on, Jack.
I just was marveling as I look back over the history of the leadership of the club and the way our God has put people in places where they're needed. And we had Pat equipped to deal with the transition into the national crisis we've got. Now
I'll be off in a minute, hon.
to help keep us on balance and understand what's going on. And we've got such exciting opportunities to have a whole new Rotary that people our age just never thought about. Wonderful.
Thank you, Jack. I see Pam's picture up. I don't know if you wanted to be unmuted, Pam.
Like Katie Miller had a question.
Or Katie?
Yeah, not so much of a question, but it's probably going to be more of a asking of help. So going back and listening to what you had to say about engaging the club and being social in these times and the different age groups that we have to be concerned with. I'm going to need some help on this because I'm a little stuck, as the social chair, of how to maybe think outside the box on this. So if anybody has some creative ideas that they're seeing, even to be physically distant in a large space, I'd appreciate any advice or ideas that anybody has. Just shoot me an email.
Great, Katie.
I want to do the best for you.
Thank you. All right. Well, I appreciate your attention, and I hope you agree with me that even though we couldn't be interactive, the PowerPoints might have been over the top. So you can look through that at your leisure, but figure out which area of the strategic plan resonates with you best. Because again, if you do something that you love or you're already engaged in, you can make it count twice. And I'm a big fan of making any activity I do count for as many things that I need to get done as they can. So again, thanks, Dad, for joining. And I appreciate the support. Have a good week. I'm going to ring the bell. The meeting is now adjourned.
All right.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Dr. Rob.
Thank you.
Great job, Rob.
Thanks, Pat. Thanks for your help and support.
Nice job.
Thanks, Dr. Rob.